Hey listeners, it's Jenn. Welcome back to season 6 of What Are You Listening To? First, I have to start by saying thank you, listeners. You guys have been so great, and I have loved reading all of the lovely comments and feedback regarding season 6 so far. So please keep the comments coming at Jenn@superawesomemix.com. That's JENN at superawesomemix.com because you've been saying such nice things about the WAYLT Time Capsule episodes. I'm bringing you another one today. So this week we've got What Are You Listening To? Time Capsule, and it is called Songs for Troubling Times. For those of you that haven't listened to a WAYLT Time Capsule episode yet, it's exactly what it sounds like. Time capsule episodes consist of bits and pieces, thoughts, and emotions in the form of songs that are meant to evoke a certain time, place, or life phase. I'm going to bring you a 4-song playlist like always, but time capsule episodes are not interview style. They're simply meant to create a vibe or mark an audio moment in time. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. Well, as you might have guessed from the title of this episode, this week I'm going to discuss songs that help me through troubling times. And this year has been a doozy already. Wildfires, plane crashes, crazy weather, and I won't even go down the political laundry list of issues that has me worrying day and night. So, in keeping with my 2025 mantra of more music, less news, I'm bringing you a playlist of 4 songs that help me reset, calm down, and see things from a new perspective. Which songs do you think made the cut? You're about to find out. And as you listen, if any of these songs are new to you, don't worry. We'll publish a playlist with the episode so you don't miss a beat. All right, friends, let's get to it. We're going to start where we often do on time capsule episodes in the very late 80s and early 90s. I think this happens so often. I was noticing this as I was going back through my time capsule notes. But I think that because that time frame was such a formative era, both the 80s and 90s for me in my phase of life, that a lot of my like coping songs or songs that have stayed with me throughout my life are from this particular era or time period. So it's not that I'm trying to bring you old music only. It's just that this week, this is kind of where we landed. And, I did have some newer songs that I thought about putting on the playlist that have also been great at offering perspective during these troubling times. But these were the 4 that I kept landing on. So this is what I went with. As I mentioned, a lot of my coping songs do come from this time period. So we're going to start in 1988 with a song called Circle by Edie Brickell and New Bohemians. So, as you know, listeners, I do my best not to duplicate songs. It has happened a couple of times, but every time it does, it's a song that I think bears a second listen or a second feature on the show. This song has not been featured since I think it was the first episode of season 2 of the show. So it's been a minute. It's been a couple years since I've had it on a playlist, but I just can't make a Songs for Troubling Times playlist without this one. I had to include it. The song matters to me because it was one of the first coping songs that I discovered. If that's, even a genre, I'm sort of air quoting coping songs right now. I'm like, that's a thing, right? Everybody has coping songs. It's not just me. But this song found me when I was just finishing up middle school and heading into high school. And I mean, I don't know about you listeners, but that was a very transitional time. And so many things are changing in a person's life at that time. You're kind of in this weird in-between phase from being a kid, but not quite an adult. And so I remember when I even close my eyes and think back to that time, I really just remember it literally feeling like the earth was constantly shifting under my feet. And that's really similar to how I've been feeling these days. I feel like it honestly hasn't been since I was a kid that I've felt like this much change was coming this quickly and all at once on on like an hourly basis. Maybe it's because we have a different news cycle now, or the way we get information is so much different now, so much more real time. It's a 24-hour endeavor versus just, the morning news, the noon news, and the evening news like it used to be when I was a kid. It's just a 24-hour thing. So you almost can't help feel barraged with information all the time. But it really has been like this year so far, just kicking off 2025, feels like it's been as tumultuous as those teen years for me. And it's been a really strange feeling. So it wasn't surprising to me that this song popped up for this playlist, but it definitely made me realize how much I'm feeling these days with all of the headlines that are coming down from day to day. But again, given that this is this I don't know if this seems like an odd pick or not, but for me, the first step in sort of getting through a troubling time is admitting that you're experiencing it, right? And I feel like that's what this song does so well. It's especially, for a teenage girl, which is the age I was when I found this song, it adds just the right amount of drama, to really make an impact. I love I quit, I give up, nothing's good enough for anybody else, it seems. Like, I mean, belt that out after slamming a door and see if you don't feel better. I've been doing it since I was a kid. But I think that like that's a big piece of it for me. Like I'll notice myself feeling anxious and wound up first, or feeling like, like I was saying, like I can't get my feet underneath me. Everything feels like it's moving and shifting. And I think when I first recognized that, if I can take a second and just kind of lean into that feeling of discomfort and acknowledge, like, oh, I'm feeling like things are kind of crazy right now. Like the earth doesn't feel like a place that I'm comfortable in right now. Those thoughts always enter my mind whenever I first start to feel anxiety, or, start to feel uncomfortable in a given moment. And so I think that this song is one that always just sort of grounds me into that and gives me space and permission to feel that way. Um, and I think that this entire album is worth a listen for that reason. Like, if you're not familiar with it, the big hit from this album was What I Am, and it sort of launched Edie Brickell into the mainstream. But Circle is the song I go back to time and time again because it does create that feeling for me of like, it's okay to acknowledge that you're stressed out, that you feel like nothing's working, you feel like you don't have any friends, you feel like, everything you do is wrong. And I think it's okay to acknowledge that space. I think a lot of times we're told, like, just, go with the flow, be a team player, all of those things. And it's like, you know what? Sometimes it feels good just to sit in a space and say, man, it feels like no matter what I am doing, it is not enough, or it is wrong, or it is not, serving me and getting me to the place I want to go. So I quit, man. I'm done. And I think that that's part of why I love this song, is that you get this moment at the beginning of the song, or through most of the song actually, to sort of just feel defeated, to feel sad, to feel, angry and frustrated with where you are. And then it has like this beautiful little ending, that kind of always stops me in my tracks and makes me reset, makes me think like, okay, so yes, I'm feeling this way. That is a-okay. It's fine for me to feel bad, sad, angry, let down. And then, have the song give you this really magical moment that makes me realize I don't actually want to be alone, and that one of the best ways to get through these troubling times is to be with your friends, your family, your community, to pull together and rally around each other. And I just love that this song gives me so much space to feel hopeless while simultaneously giving me so much hope. Right? Is it even like possible to say that in one sentence and have it make sense? And maybe the hope that I'm speaking of that the song gives me is just perspective, right? That there is something else out there. And, again, the sweet little happy ending where she does a line of la la la's, just put a really nice bow on everything. that again make this song a very complete package of hopelessness and then kind of a light at the end of the tunnel moment at the end of the song. So if you are not familiar with this one, allow yourself a good cry or screaming fit, and then let me know if it makes you feel better afterwards. Again, I want to hear from you listeners. I've been loving the feedback, so please keep it coming at Jenn with 2 N's at superawesomemix.com. Then I'm going to take us into track 2. So once I've had a minute to be sad or scared or feel sorry for myself with a song like Circle, then I feel like it's time to deal with the fact that I don't actually want to quit or give up or be alone, like I just mentioned. And that helps me enter into the next phase of dealing with hard times with track number 2. And that's a song that I love, love, love called Have a Little Faith in Me by John Hiatt. Now, was on his Bring the Family album from 1987, and it's been everywhere. I believe it was I don't know if it was his version or a cover version that was in the movie Phenomenon. It's been in commercials. I mean, this is one of those songs that like you've heard in the grocery store. Like I'd be surprised if you've somehow managed to miss this song your whole life. But if you have, or if it's just something that you've heard in the background, or again, in passing, heard a verse or two in a movie, take a second and sit down with this song. As you might have guessed from the title, the next phase of getting through hard times for me is sort of the asking for help phase, letting the people around me know that I'm feeling overwhelmed by whatever is going on, with me personally or globally or within my community or professionally, whatever the case may be. And so I think that, that's often the hardest part for me. I, like a lot of you, I'd imagine, have a very hard time asking for help. I'm always in so much awe of people that do not have a problem asking for help because it is so hard for me to do. And this song reminds me that it's okay. Asking for help is what brings us together and creates closeness and deep relationships. And then, recognizing that I'm lucky enough to have even one person that I can lean on, that always feels like the reward for being vulnerable enough to say, I can't get through this alone. Like I feel like it's always so hard or so daunting for me to ask for help. And then at the end, when I have, like I said, even just one, or if I'm lucky enough to have 2, 3, 4 people raise their hand and say, I'm here for you, it just changes the game for me. Like it makes me feel like not only do I not have to do this alone, but I have people that want to be there to support me, that want to help me, that feel the same way I do in some cases. And I think it just makes it so much easier. The hardest part sometimes of getting through troubling times is feeling like you're alone or you're the only person that feels like they're struggling. And I think, again, this song opens with the lines, when the road gets dark and you can no longer see, just let my love throw a spark and have a little faith in me. And I love this line so much because not only does it sound like an invitation to ask for help, it sounds like a request, like, please let me show you how much I love you by just letting you be, like just letting you feel however you want to feel. And I will meet you wherever you are and we'll figure this out together. Right. Like it just makes me feel like not only is it okay to ask for that help that you need from your friends and your community, but it's part of the vow that you make when you enter into a friendship, right? It can't just be one-sided with only one person giving or one person being vulnerable. Like you have to lean on one another. And I just think that this song does such a good job of requesting that, of saying like, look, this isn't just about you asking for the help that you need. It's about you also allowing our friendship to deepen because you're being vulnerable with me, which is helping to establish closeness. So I think that, again, this song does so well in terms of summing that up in a beautiful package. And John Hiatt sings it with such pleading emotion. And I certainly get that he can be a polarizing character when it comes to lead singers, like a Bob Dylan or a Leonard Cohen. His voice is definitely an acquired taste. I acknowledge that. But, even if you don't go deep into his catalog, give this one a listen. I feel like it's super digestible and easy on the ears, for John Hiatt. So this is a good entry point into his music if you're not familiar, but just a brilliant singer-songwriter that I've loved for a long, long time. And this song, again, always rises to the top for me because it reminds me that it's not a burden to ask a friend for help. It's a requirement in order to have a two-way relationship. And so just having a song that offers that kind of an invitation to seek community always makes me feel better, no matter how stressed out or troubling the news around me is. So we're going to kind of enter into a little bit more of a hopeful phase now. We've kind of taken some time with these first two tracks to just sit in our feelings. I use, like I said, Circle to just kind of like get it all out, whether it's screaming, crying, whatever. Then I head into a really comforting song that feels like a hug with, the John Hiatt track. And then I like to move into the space that is perspective shifting. I feel like that's a good way to say it. So after I've given myself space to sort of feel hopeless and then found the courage to ask for help, I find that next phase is often looking for a new perspective, which leads me to track number 3. This is a song called Beautiful Day by U2 from the All That You Can't Leave Behind album. This was a huge album for U2. It came out in 2000, and this was after lots of criticism for the Zooropa album from 1993, the Pop album from 1997. Neither were received very well at all. And I think people were kind of ready to write U2 off. They were an 80s band in a lot of ways, and we were moving into the 2000s. So I think people were kind of like, meh, they're done. And then they dropped this All That You Can't Leave Behind album and blew everybody away. This album put them back on top. It achieved multi-platinum status, and again, just sort of solidified U2's spot in the the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I think U2's in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I'll have to double check that. But certainly in the pantheon of amazing artists and rock legends that will be remembered long after they're gone. I think it's safe to say U2 will occupy a space there. And I think that with this song, it just says so much in 4 minutes. It takes you through kind of all the phases we've talked about here. It takes you through the hopelessness and the asking for help phases, and then plants you in a perfect space to see the light at the end of the tunnel, I feel like. Bono's soaring vocals make this song feel so big to me. And it doesn't really have anything to do with volume. Everybody knows, you hear me talk about it on the show a lot. I listen to my music probably dangerously loud. Volume is very important to me. I've told this story before, but I'll tell it again. My husband always jokes that if somebody was trying to steal my car, they'd have a heart attack before they got out of the driveway, because when they turn on the ignition, my stereo is so loud, it would cause like major cardiac arrest and they would never be able to take the car. So see there, that's my car alarm system. But anyway, this song, like, it's not about the volume for me. It just feels big. Like I can listen at full volume or I can turn it way down and it still feels like a giant song to me. And I can't think of a lot of songs that do that, but this song fills the room no matter how loud or softly you're listening to it. And I think that that's such a unique thing about this song. I think it's a unique trait that this song has that I can't think of a lot of songs, that do. And there's all kinds of controversy about the way that Edge tuned his guitar for this album. There's people had lots of things to say, and still, I believe this was the first single that was released off of the album, and I think it really set the tone for the rest of it. I think that people were just really excited to have U2 back in the way that they were used to hearing them. Outside of, again, some of these experimental albums that they had released in the early to mid 90s. So yeah, this one definitely brought back U2 in a major way. And this album and this particular song, I think are this song's responsible, I should say, for really making this album the huge hit that it was. I also love the lyric in this song, "What you don't have, you don't need it now." If you only take one thing away from this track, let it be that. I think that I always go back when I'm feeling hopeless and I'm feeling like, oh, there's nothing I can do. I'm just one person, or I don't have enough resources or time or whatever to have this thing or to make this shift happen. Like, just kind of realizing, again, what you don't have, you don't need it now, right? Like, maybe you'll need it later. Maybe you'll see a path to get it. But if you don't have it now, you don't need it right now. Like, just let it be. And so I think that that's something that this song always gives me as well. Like, in addition to, I love, the soaring chorus of "It's a beautiful day, don't let it get away." I think that that's so nice and powerful. And again, it feels so big. But then too, just what you don't have, you don't need it now. Like, just a constant reminder of that. Like, it doesn't mean you'll never get it, or it doesn't mean that you even need it at all, right? That's not the point. It's just recognizing that in this current moment, while things are feeling really overwhelming, if I don't have something, it's because it's not meant for me right now. And so I think that that's another reason that I love this song. And I think too, just, Bono has said throughout the years that this track is about losing everything, but still finding joy in what one has. And I kind of feel like that's the definition of perspective, or at least like successful perspective shifting. So I think that that's why this track features where it does, not only on this playlist, but also as the third song on the playlist. And it also creates a beautiful bridge into our final song today. So to close out today's playlist, my fourth track is one that I find super hopeful, uplifting, happy every time I hear it. It's a song called "These Are Days" by 10,000 Maniacs from the Our Time in Eden album from 1992. So, as I said a second ago, like, if this song does not give you some hope and perspective, I'm not sure what will. I think it's just beautiful at helping us remember that every day magical things are happening and we are changing and growing as people collectively, not just ourselves, but everyone around us as well. And so I think that this song just says all of that in the most beautiful, succinct way that I've ever heard, maybe. And I think that Natalie Merchant's, angelic voice singing lyrics that still like choke me up to this day are kind of what makes this song so magical. Her voice is just undeniably beautiful. And then again, listening to the lyrics, I sit and I think about all of the things that I have and how the days go by so quickly. What is the saying? The days are short, or the days are long, but the years are short. Like, I feel like this song is sort of the musical representation of that. And so I love it and always have. The year this album came out, it was everywhere. It was sort of like a 90s version of bedroom pop before that was a genre. This was like firmly in the era of like grunge coming and glam rock kind of falling off and going out of style. And so it was interesting to get this sort of singer-songwriter pop band drop on the scene with an album that was so huge. And this was not 10,000 Maniacs' first album. I think it was just their biggest. And so I think that the other sort of interesting piece about this is that this was the last original album that the band made with Natalie Merchant. She went solo shortly after the success of this album, and then there was a subsequent MTV Unplugged album, which I'll just, while we're here, I'll offer a little tidbit on that as well. That album also has an amazing version of this song, a live version of this song, and a beautiful version of the Patti Smith song "Because the Night." So if you're not familiar with the 10,000 Maniacs version of "Because the Night," definitely give that one a listen. Not necessarily appropriate for this particular playlist, but it's a song that is so great it bears mentioning here. And again, the live version of "These Are Days" is on the MTV Unplugged album as well, and just beautiful. Sounds, again, great and as amazing as you would expect. And this is another one, as with all the songs on this week's playlist, that I'd also encourage you to read the lyrics. The final words of this song are, "You'll know how it was meant to be, hear the signs, and know they're speaking to you." And I love how empowering that feels. The song spends a lot of time talking about these are the days you'll remember. You'll fill with laughter until you break. Like all of these, like really beautiful sentiments about being with friends and enjoying life and soaking up every minute. And then kind of this message that, you're going to know what to do. Like if you just dial it down and you just get back to basics, ignore all of the noise on the outside and all of the crazy things that are going on around you, and just know that you'll know how it was meant to be. You'll hear the signs and know they're speaking to you. Like, I don't know. For me, that just feels like, okay, I get it. Like no matter how good or bad we think something is, it's all part of the bigger picture that make up our entire life story. Like as long as you can slow down, tap into your gut instincts, you're going to know what to do. And if all the bad news that we're hearing is just one step on the journey to get us to a better place, then okay, in order to know happy, we have to know sad too. And I think that this song sums that up so beautifully. And it's one that, again, I always go back to because of that. So if you have not listened to this song, or if it's been a minute since you've listened to this song, go back and revisit. I think it will make you feel better. It's why it's the song I chose to close out the playlist and sort of take us on this full journey of, acceptance of where you are, asking for help, doing a perspective shift, and then really sort of sitting in that and knowing that at the end of the day, or no matter what sort of chaos or trouble is going on in the outside world, you are going to know what to do. You're going to know what's best for you. You've got a support system to lean on, and that's all we can ask for. So that, I think, is the perfect way to end this particular show and to close out our playlist this week. So this is it for my Songs for Troubling Times playlist. And I hope this episode and some of the songs offer some room to let your feelings out while also offering some perspective and hope. We're going to get through this, and we're going to do it together as a community. Well, listeners, that wraps up this episode. So as always, be sure to follow, download, and share this show. And if you love listening, please share the show with a friend you think might enjoy listening too. Last but not least, to stay informed on all things Super Awesome Mix and What Are You Listening To, be sure to follow us on Instagram at Super Awesome Mix. And please keep the feedback and comments coming to Jenn at superawesomemix.com. Again, that's JENN at superawesomemix.com. Thanks again for listening, and please join me again next week to find your new favorite song.